Hey there and welcome to the Wholistic Badass Podcast. This is a podcast covering all things holistic. That means addressing topics covering and encompassing all of the things pertaining to the whole you, body, mind, and spirit. Let me, Lori, be your host and guide as we journey through a variety of topics from which you may draw from in order to form your own self-care regimens in a well-rounded way, which makes you a holistic badass. So sit back, buckle up, put your feet up if you're at home, be prepared to have your ears on if you're driving, and let's listen to what's up today. The information presented in this podcast is for informational and self-education use only. It is not intended for self-diagnosis, nor treatment, nor anything that constitutes the practice of medicine. Please consult with a qualified physician concerning the prudence of and before undertaking any major changes in diet, any treatments for disease, any use of drugs or prescription items, or the cessation thereof. HerbalCon 2025 is coming March 15th, 2025 to Wapakoneta, Ohio. Join us from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Junior Fair Building at the Auglaize County Fairgrounds for HerbalCon. We will have speakers, vendors, demonstrations, all dealing with herbs, natural health, plants, conservation, environmentalism, homesteading, and more. Come to the area's major learning experience at HerbalCon 2025. You can find out more information at herbchickonline.com/HerbalCon. Tickets are available and are at a discount until the day before Christmas. Some vendor spaces may still be available. Inquire at herbchickonline.com to find out more. Hey, Holistic Badasses. Today, you have me. Unfortunately, I do not have a guest on today, but if you guys can tolerate me for a little bit, I am very happy to talk to you guys. Of course, I do want to remind you, if you didn't get it from the recording earlier, that I do have a really big event coming up called HerbalCon 2025. Now, I always put the year on it because on social media, when you advertise, if you don't put the year on there, it may give you the wrong year and the wrong information. So please check out HerbalCon. I'm asking you. On most social media channels, you can find it. Facebook event listing, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, what's left of it. There's more, and I can't, Clapper. And I'm trying out another one that starts with an F, and I can't remember the name of it. My bad. I've been a little scattered trying to figure out what to use during the whole TikTok ban. And since we don't know what's going to happen to it in the long run, especially with the rumors going on that Meta may buy it, I'm looking at all of the ways to reach everyone that I possibly can. I am trying to understand Discord a little better. When I used to use it, I used it mainly as a gaming server for discussion boards with my clan and my guild during online gaming for MMORPGs. I have not played MMORPGs in so long that I kind of forgot if I even had a Discord anymore, and it's changed a little bit. So I'm trying to figure that one out a little bit. Got to rack my old person Generation X brain to make that happen. But Today, I want to talk to you about something important. We have a lot of radical changes happening. Whether they're for the better or not for the better, I personally don't care at this point. That is not the topic of this podcast. What I am going to say is that a lot of the changes and the uncertainties are sending people to a place where they are feeling anxiety, where they're very anxious and very uncertain, and maybe they need a little bit of support, right? So I wanted to talk to you today about a plant that I grow called Motherwort. Now, I'm going to be looking aside here if you're watching this on YouTube every now and then so that I make sure I'm reading the information correctly, along with any papers to support any scientific research. Even if it's just a paper that is suggesting something might be helpful, I will include that. I know there's people who think that I'm not able to do that. I'm able. But let's talk about Motherwort. So Motherwort, the Latin on it, is Leonurus cardiaca. Now, a lot of times your names of a plant are going to give you some clues of how to use it, what to use it for, or different side effects that might happen from it. So like pissenlit for is the French, and I probably butchered the pronunciation, or pissenlit for dandelion, literally translates to piss the bed, right? Because that's one of the qualities of dandelion is as a diuretic. It will help pull fluid. So it's a descriptor, right? So motherwort is a common name for this plant. The Leonurus cardiaca, because sometimes it's known as lion's tail. This is a member of the mint family. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, I'm going to try to put a picture-in-picture right here of the plant so that you can look it up, right? And I'm still getting used to where to look on this particular camera, so bear with me, okay? So, Motherwort. Let's talk about what it looks like. Now, I specifically planted Motherwort. I know that it is Motherwort, and I harvest it from what I planted. However, once you know what this plant looks like, you can pick it out pretty quickly. So, back to our picture-in-picture. It is an herbaceous plant in the mint family. So that means, like most of your mints, it's going to have a square stem. So if you hack that stem off and you're looking at a cross section of it, it will be square. Sometimes they're hollow, sometimes they're not. So in Motherwort, I'm trying to remember if they are, I don't remember if they're hollow or not, but what I will tell you is that it has let's start with this, the square stem, which means it's in the mint family. It has short hairs on the stem, so little tiny short hairs. They're not prickly hairs, they're soft. And sometimes the stem can be a little on the purple-ish side, not necessarily a dark purple, but purple-ish, like behind the green, making it a little darker. My Motherwort that I grow grows in a real deep forest green. There are nodes where the leaves come off because they are opposite. So as the stem comes up from the ground, there is always one leaf growing directly across from another leaf. And then the next ones, you're going to do a quarter turn and you're going to have a leaf across from a leaf. Quarter turn back, leaf across from a leaf. Quarter turn back, leaf across from a leaf. So in this way, they alternate opposites. which is a little confusing with botanical terms. The leaves that are opposite, so there's always a leaf directly across from it coming up on the stem, has a serrated margin, and they're palmately lobed with long petioles. So palmately means that it kind of has the shape of the palm of your hand. So it's going to have a base and it's going to come out. Now it doesn't mean that there's 5 fingers to it, but it's going to mean that it has like a base, like the palm of a hand, and then it spreads out. Okay? So in this case, it's usually, it has up, down, up in the middle, and there. Check this picture right here. So palmately lobed with long petioles, right? So the basal leaves are wedge-shaped with 3 points. That's the boop, just like this picture. We go up, this one's a little higher, and then this one. The upper leaves, meaning further up on the stem, like not down here at the base, these are basal leaves, the ones up towards the top, closer to the sunlight, they can have, 3 to 5 little bumps on them, which means that their lobes or their points, they have 3 to 5 points. They're slightly hairy on the top side of the leaves, and on the bottom, they're kind of got a gray cast to them. So they'll be green, yes, but then when you flip them over, it's going to be like a gray wash went over that same color from the top. It'll have a gray wash over the bottom. They're kind of almost fuzzy, but not like mullein and lamb's ear where it feels like you could just cuddle up to them and rub your face, but they're a little fuzzy. The flowers appear in the leaf axils. So the leaf axils, if this is your stem, boop, and a stem for a leaf comes off here, or the leaf comes off here, the petioles. So right in here, this is where you're going to have your flowers pop out. Right here, boop. So petiole for the leaf, boop, flowers. The calyx of each flower is bell-shaped and has 5 lobes. Lobes. Check out this picture. The corolla is irregular. The upper lip is convex and covered with white hairs, and the lower lip is 3-lobed and downward curving, spotted with red. I'm going to show you some pictures now. The flowers are pink to lilac in color, often with furry lower lips. So the ones that I grow, the flowers, when they first open, they almost look to me to be like a purple, like a violet-y purple. But then as the blooms went on, they were a little more of a lavender, a lilac color, almost the same color as the blooms on my lilac bush. You have 4 protruding stamens that pop out of the flower, 2 short and 2 long, and it actually does have a fruit. It's a 4-chambered, what they call a schizocarp. Now the plant, the fruit for the plant, is more like the seed, right? It's not really like a fruit like you're going to go eat. Motherwort can be native to southeastern parts of Europe and Asia. It's been cultivated there since ancient times, man, forever. Its natural habitat is like disturbed ground and vacant fields. So next to dumps, side ditches, places where people tramp and leave garbage and trash. It likes to be growing in drained soil and have the ability for partial shade. Where I have mine, I have a raised bed, and then I have a small side bed next to that raised bed, so it gets partial shade from that raised bed. And then also I grow it next to some plants that do well being planted next to mints, so they're a little taller and they kind of give it a little bit of shade. Now, one of the reasons that I'm bringing this plant up is because I like to talk about plants and their personalities. And Motherwort is one that, as you spend more time with it, you realize that it has this personality of wanting to be a mother with some courageous energy, right? So you ever see those moms who spring into action, like, you're going to pick on my kid? I'll show you. And they go into protective mode. I'm not saying that adult women should be crazy, but, you know, it happens, right? This behavior, this naturally wanting to be protective behavior, that is something that Motherwort kind of evokes. It does kind of grow up and looks like little lion's tails growing out, which is why they call it lion's tail in some of the other known names. Now, back in the day, Nicholas Culpeper considered Motherwort useful for removing melancholy vapors from the heart, improving cheerfulness, and settling the wombs of mothers. Now, this was in 15th century Europe. They didn't really have the same terminologies that we do today. So when you look back at that with herbal energetics, what that's kind of referring to, vapors, that's like mood disorders. Well, I shouldn't say mood disorders, but like when people have certain feelings and emotional responses, it's kind of like, oh, I got the vapors, right? Like they're overcome with emotion. They got the vapors. So melancholy vapors, to me, I interpret that as being overcome with melancholy feelings. And at the moment, because things are in flux, I would think there is a lot of melancholy vapors, right? I know that when I make a tea with Motherwort, I feel as if I am getting that gentle motherly hug. And let's face it, there's some of us out there who never really got that gentle motherly hug as a child, right? So I like to sit with Motherwort in my garden. I like to just sit there with it, rub it, smell it, taste a little bit of it. It's not like your usual mint, it's kind of bitter, but it isn't like bitter offensively so, right? Now, when you make the tea, when I make a tea, I should say when I do, when I make a tea, I like to use the fresh herb if I can. However, sometimes that's not available and I have to use what I have dried. This year in particular, I've been going through a lot of things. I am a widow. I have limited income at the moment. I'm working on fixing that. It's one of the reasons why I do this podcast. Those are scary, anxiety-inducing aspects of my life. My father is deceased. My mother is elderly. It's almost as if my siblings and I are assuming a more parental role for my mother. Hopefully she never sees this or hears this. I don't want her to think that. But that is very anxiety producing, or it can be. And let me tell you, there's a lot of anxious moments that I go through trying to secure basal income. Is a scary, anxiety riddled process. That's me. And I know I'm not alone. So maybe you might want to try Motherwort as well. Let's talk about just some research that has been done on Motherwort. Boop, boop, boop. Go to my note. So, Motherwort has been used for thousands of years for heart disease, anxiety, and irregular menstruation. Many of its traditional uses or its herbal uses have not been verified by scientific research. But let's talk about some preliminary research that shows some promise. If that's what you're into, is scientific research, let's talk. So Motherwort contains numerous plant-based compounds with antioxidant properties, including flavonoids, sterols, triterpenes, and tannins. These are good things. You want those things in your life. Antioxidants are compounds that protect your cells from damage caused by potentially harmful molecules known as free radicals. So I think of it as this. This is how you think of free radicals, right? Everybody's driving around in a car. Boop, 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 boop. Right? So your car is like a red blood cell, let's just say, because it can be any cell, but let's just say it's a red blood cell, right? And you're driving along in your little car and you have 4 wheels on that car, 4 of them. A free radical is some crazy ass clown car that comes out and it's bouncing because it's missing a wheel and it's imbalanced and it's not doing well. So what that clown car does is it kind of bangs into you, making you pull over, and they get out and they rip off one of your wheels so that they can become a stable ride and get down that freeway of your circulatory system okay, right? So then you're stuck with 3 wheels and you're shy of 4th, right? So it's like you're brick shy of a full load. Ha ha. Ba-doop, boop. Just joking. But you're not stable because you don't have 4 wheels. You're bouncing around on that 3rd. So what an antioxidant does is it comes in and it swoops in like the AAA and it gives you an extra wheel. Now, what are those wheels? The wheels are the electrons on those molecules, right? So a free radical is unstable because it is missing an electron, which makes it want to seek out an extra electron in order to make itself stable. So it bounces around and zigs and zags until it bounces into something it can rip an electron off of, which is the molecules that make up your cells, which causes aging. And some people in the scientific community argue that that can cause inflammation, right? So what an antioxidant does is it comes in with extra electrons. It is your AAA of electrons, and it zips through and it allows those electrons, it gives up those electrons freely and readily to not only the free radicals, but also to your cells that have been destabilized. So that is my analogy. So do with that what you will. But now what we know is that these antioxidants are contained in many plants, including Motherwort. So yeah, that just so you know how it works. Now, research from 2019 suggests that Motherwort's, gosh, I can't say it today, antioxidant properties may be beneficial. Of course, more evidence is needed to confirm how effective and how it should be used, but that is actually research. Let me see if I can remember which footnote this is. That is from 2019, which is considered relevant. That is from a study in Biochemistry Research International. And it was done, I'm sorry, it was published in April 17th of 2019. So while they don't know exactly how or which mechanisms or which chemical components are useful, they know that it shows some promise, right? That's a good thing. What we also know is that one traditional use, as Culpeper stated, of Motherwort is to reduce rapid and irregular heart rate caused by stress and anxiety. Now, we all have stress, yes? Anxiety is fear over what will come, the worry warts, the pacing, the I'm afraid to act and take part in the world and in life because I am afraid what will happen afterwards in the future. Depression is regret and being bummed out over what happened in the past. Anxiety is fear and being stressed out over what will come in the future. Okay? So that apprehension that goes with it. This is wonderful, right? We need to know that Motherwort can be beneficial. There was a 2021 study that was published in the journal Plants, January 25th, 2021, entitled Phytochemical and Psychotropic Research of Motherwort, Modified Dry Extracts. It is important that if you read scientific literature, if you want the results that they had, you have to use the plant in the manner that they used it, right? But these things, this is important research. It shows that more research can be done, and it also shows that there's some promise. It's not a weed, yo. It's useful. It's there for you. In that study, they found Motherwort extract containing certain amino acids helped to reduce anxiety in animals. Older test tube and animal studies showed that Motherwort extract showed anti-arrhythmic effects, meaning that if you had arrhythmia of the heart, that maybe that might be beneficial, suggesting it could help lower elevated heart rate. Now, that was in animals, not in humans. It does not mean it doesn't work in humans. It means it has not been studied in humans. So the fact that there were promising results in animals means that now they can kind of use it on other animals, further confirm this, and then possibly test it on adults to give you your scientific backing. In 2019, there was research published saying that Motherwort may reduce postpartum blood loss. And of course, it also, 2017 research in rats showed that it may be beneficial in relieving anxiety and depression. So, those were studies in rats, not humans, but they show promise. I find that using Motherwort for small periods of time tend to give me, like I said, that reassuring hug of a mother. The everything's going to be okay. Even if we are going through a bucket of shit right now, in the end, it will all work out. It's that pat on the back, kiss on the forehead of a parent saying, you got this, you can do this. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring across today. This is where I feel herbalism has the greatest benefit, to give you that momentary support. Now, there are some side effects and contraindications, like everything in life. So let me read them so I know I don't mess them up. So this is off of my notes. Potential side effects of consuming excessive amounts of motherwort include diarrhea, uterine bleeding, and stomach pain. Because it has the potential to affect heart rate and rhythm, you should completely avoid it if you're taking any kind of medication for heart rate or blood thinners or blood pressure. Just don't take it. Any cardiac medication at all, motherwort is not for you. Sorry. I personally don't use a lot of prescription pharmaceuticals, so I try herbal remedies before I try pharmaceuticals. Unless it's some super acute thing, you know, if I fall down and break a major bone, I'm going to use a prescribed pain medication from my doctor, at least a little bit here and there. And then I'll move it on to something herbal later, you know? I mean, common sense, people. Also, because there isn't a lot of research on uterine contraction possibilities, do not use if you're pregnant. Do not use if you're nursing. Just better to steer away from anything that affects the uterine bleeding at all during those time periods. Because research is limited, there is no set dosage for motherwort. In herbalism, what I like to suggest is that you use motherwort intermittently for those times when your anxiety are very high. I use it for like a week or so at a time and then take a break for a week or so. Just to make sure. Just to make sure. But the bottom line is, motherwort has been used for thousands of years. I want you to know what it looks like. If you know somebody that grows it, or you find some that you feel is safe to gather and you're comfortable, like, don't ever gather something out of the wild if you are not 110% sure it is what it is. But motherwort might be of benefit to you. I have a cat climbing on me. But yeah, maybe give motherwort a try. It may help you a little bit just to turn down some of that anxiety that we're all feeling right now. So thank you for hanging out with me through this podcast. If you want to follow me for any more, just go ahead and check out my website down here. Please hit the like button, subscribe or follow. I would love to have you back for a little more of what's going on with the Herb Chick, and I would love to have you be a holistic badass with me. And hey, come see me at HerbalCon.